Come, Bannerlords, hear a tale of treachery and revenge that serves to remind all on the path to power. The axe may forget, but the tree remembers. It all began in the town of Lageta, the last stronghold of the ancient Palaic tribe. But to the Empire, just another Battanian clan to conquer. News arrived of a legion, freshly formed, to crush the Palaic tribe once and for all. Desperate for fighting men, the chieftain hired a band of mercenaries to assist in the forthcoming siege. It was at nighttime when the murderers struck. They overwhelmed the chieftain's guard and slaughtered the royal family. Panic spread throughout the streets, and when the legion arrived the next morning, the gates were opened. And so, the once mighty Palaic tribe was crushed. The Imperial Senate denounced the treachery, but the town remained in their hands. The Palaic people were pushed out to make room for eager Imperial citizens, and many of them were forced to return to the trees. For the Battanians, it was a catastrophe. The loss of an ally, and now the Empire could march directly into the heart of Battania, unopposed. A great darkness settled on the land. But the very next night, in the tavern at Marinath, a small group of men arrived, rugged, ragged warriors, carrying only their weapons and a small child. They requested an audience with the High King. And so they were brought before Caladog, 10 men and 1 child. They were Palaic warriors, and the child was the youngest daughter of the chieftain who was slain. Her name was Boudica. Aware of his duty as an ally and the goodwill it would generate, High King Caladog took the young princess under his protection and charged the warriors who were with her to be her personal guard. The years passed, and the young princess grew quickly. She and the king's daughter, Corinne, became like sisters, and there seemed to be no limit to the trouble the pair could get into. Corinne was always the best fighter. But no one could devise a plan like Boudica. She had a gift for patience and preparation. It was in the summer of 1085 that a large Sturgian force arrived at the gates of Marinath. Caladog and the armies of Battania were struggling to repel the advancing Valandians in the west. Knowing the army was away, the Sturgians struck and expected little resistance taking the city. But Boudica spent all night running around the town, up and down the walls. Units were organized, ammunition stockpiled, and the siege weapons made ready. In the morning, the Northmen came, but they were not prepared for the withering volleys pouring from the walls. In the heat of the battle, Boudica manned a ballista, launching bolt after bolt into the Sturgian shield wall. And under this hail of death, the Sturgians broke. Cries of joy and victory filled the air. She urged the men that they must follow the Sturgians and destroy them, lest they build another army and come back. And the men did follow her. They cornered the last of the Sturgian army in the mountains near Flintolg. The Northmen bravely charged at the Battanians, just as Boudica predicted they would. The Battanian forces marched back to Marinath victorious. The town erupted in celebration. except for Boudica. She retreated to the keep in solitude. The nature of war had been revealed. A game which favored the patient and prepared. And now the path to power was clear. A strategic marriage. The rebirth of an old clan. Gathering the scattered Palaic people and uniting them under a common cause. A blood debt that must be repaid. Hear me, brothers and sisters of Britannia. Arrows shall fly, javelins shall soar, and the treacherous imperial dogs will be made to remember Lageta. And here's our girl, the badass Boudica. But first, let me warn you, when it comes to that strategic marriage, be careful. So I was looking for a political marriage to justify creating a new clan, right? So I wanted to marry into families of Britannia, and who better than the actual King's clan, plus adopted by Caladog. So I was looking for someone close to Caladog to marry into, and I found Munzer here had a son named Rath, okay? And this kid's like 24. He's around my age, I think. I think he's actually a little younger than me. He was a chubby little fuck. He really grew into something. And of course, you got to love the stash, right? Who wants a mustache, right? I do. But I got to tell you, be careful who you pick, because look what Prince Cream Pie did to me here. Oh, we've been married like 3 years, and he's stuffing me up, family. I got to get a switch on this guy or something. He is coming at me like a breeding bull. I've only got like 2 more years before I die in childbirth, 100%. So my children will have to carry on my legacy. One of the 30 of them. But I do want to say I'm very proud. First 2 out the hatch, heirs, right? And then I think we kind of fell off a cliff. But man, I got to catch my breath here. This guy is just lacing me. Everyone says they're willing to do what it takes to get to the top, but you see what I'm willing to do. My man's got that fever. I mean, to be honest, he's a monster with this Falx Blade. He's just a badass in battle, so he slays on the battlefield and slays that ass. Worst things you could say about a guy. Oh, look, another Britannia playthrough. I'll just go grab a bunch of Fiends. No, we're not doing that again. You hear me? We are putting a cap on elite troops. 10 per clan level. When you first start out, level 1, you can get 10. And that'll serve you from clan tier 0 to clan tier 1. Then at clan tier 2, you can have 20 Fiends, 3, 30, and so on. All the way up to clan tier 6, you got 60 Fiends total in your army and your personal party. I'm also willing to grant you an extra 10 if you pass the Royal Guard Edict. Noble troops are ridiculously too easy to acquire and train up in this game. When you look at the stat difference between a noble troop and a standard troop, it is insane that you're allowed to build armies in these guys. And I say it for the Fiend Champion, I say it for the Khans Guard. And I think the best 2 ways to deal with the problem are either to make the elite troops or noble troops actually what they are, which are, the sons of nobles. These kids have trained for war since the beginning, and they should trickle in the more powerful and influential your clan is. And if you're emperor, you should get a lot of them. And one of the benefits to making it a resource that is based upon power, influence, size, these types of factors, fiefs, is that then when you fight the faction leaders and stuff, their armies will be significantly stronger than the average army because they'll have this increased number of elite units in their armies. To just craft some 2-handed swords as a blacksmith, sell them, and then go around the countryside and grab the most elite units in the game and have the most elite army in the game within 2 or 3 months game time is ridiculous. The other option, of course, is that you could just nerf them, way down. You could either drop these guys down to like 180, 200, and also I think they need to be more specialized. If the Consguard are going to be as good a horse archers as they are, the glaive might be a little too much, making the Fiends both the greatest archer in the game and the greatest two-handed unit in the game might be a little much. So maybe we need to specialize these guys a little more, nerf them down, nerf their armor, their weapon, their kit. I don't know. That's another way you could go, but I like where they're at. I like having elite badass troops on the field. I just don't think you should be able to go around the map and recruit whole armies of them because, to be honest, it makes them a little less special. And I want to challenge you in this playthrough, if you've never put a cap on elite units for yourself, to try it. I think a great cap to start with keeps it nice and simple. 10 Fiends per clan tier, and then you get an extra 10 for the Royal Decree. All right? The problem that you immediately run into now, though, is if I don't use Fiends, where am I going to get archers from? For this playthrough, it's the Forest Bandits. You guys are going to talk smack to my Forest Bandits, but remember, we've got that 150 bow skill, and they got the Woodland Longbow, 76 pierce. The Imperial Palatine Guard, 66 pierce, with 140 bow skill. The Azurai Master Archer, 62 with 160 bow skill. Also got that 120 and one-handed. Their arrows don't have the pierce of the other two, but their bow has the pierce. So, I mean, they're as good as any of those guys. Their armor's not nearly as good, but I'll show you this build that really buffs them up. I mean, these guys start slaying. I mean, truly, try them out. And if you're the captain on top of that, and you give them the right, these guys do work. For this playthrough, I can't suggest enough this Partners in Crime talent. Surrendering bandit parties always offer to join you, because anytime you need some more recruits, just chase some forest bandits into the tree line, talk to them, they're going to give up, and they'll always all surrender, and you can just fill your numbers up that way. I would just really encourage you to just grab everything. I got Sea Raider boss, a mountain boss, we're a ragtag crew. I mean, we've got our 40 champions here, but you can see the rest of it's a little ragtag. Some of these Falcons I like to keep with just the regular Falcons blade. Some of them I like to upgrade all the way. I think the Wildling's my favorite unit of theirs just because of how lethal these javelins are. And when you get a whole bunch of them, it's just incredible when you couple it with all the firepower from the Fiends. But to be honest, the most fun is when you've got the whole group. One thing that you absolutely cannot use in this playthrough, no mercenaries. We don't trust those treacherous, daddy-killing mercenaries, all right? If you get a little hideout by your base, it's really great because you take some casualties in a siege or something. You can just step out here and there'll be like a group of 44, like 17 right there. Just make sure whoever your scout is has this Forestkin perk. That, coupled with your Battanian cultural trait, completely removes the travel speed penalty when moving through forest. So you are going warp speed through the forest while everybody else is slow to a crawl. It's the most OP thing in the game, but it feels fantastic and it's a ton of fun. So it is what it is. Let me just show you this build here and just tell me what you think. This is what I call my new Power of 5 build. And here you can see how many attribute points and how many focus points you need to get to a certain level of skill. And one combination I want you to notice in particular is 5 and 5. Okay, so 5 and 5 is going to get us all the way to this sweet 260. Why is that important? Well, when you come to your tree, you'll realize that all you get by going up to 7, which is what you need to max out the tree, is really the final perk. With 5 and 5, you can get all the way up to what it said, 260, right? So you can get all the way up to the 250 skill, which in the case of the two-handed tree, maxes it out. So 5 and 5 will give you maxed out two-handed. But if you come over to one-handed and you really want this Way of the Sword, you're going to have to go that full 7 attribute points. It really just comes down to, do you want to spend 2 extra attribute points for the final talent? Now, in some cases, it's very worth it. In some cases, maybe not. And I'll just say for something like throwing, I don't think it is. Getting a little more damage and travel speed really isn't that great, and I don't think is worth 2 attribute points that could be well spent somewhere else. Plus, here again, we find at 250 is where you really get the coolest skill, where your javelins are going through shields. And once you're at 250 throwing, tossing out those Azerite javelins left and right off your war camel, you don't need the final talent. You're one-shotting everything. I mean, you're throwing javelins through the shield. So throwing here is an excellent example of what I'm trying to show you, in that you can get the best talents for 5 and 5. I'd say the same thing for a crossbow build. The little extra you get for 2 more attribute points just isn't that significant. I just think there's some real power to diversifying here and accepting some things as good enough. And so I would just challenge you to go through your tree and really consider, do I need this extra perk? Remember, in athletics, we get an extra endurance attribute here, so we really only need to go to 4, and then as it levels up, we'll come here, and this will be our 5th one. You also get an extra vigor attribute here, which allows you to just go 4, and then eventually you'll get your 5th. And remember, over here in smithing, you can get an extra control attribute or a vigor, and then you can also get an extra endurance attribute here. So you could just go 3 and 3, and then level up athletics and smithing, and that would get you to 5 and 5. So just wanted to show you the power of 5 and 5, something to consider in your future builds. I also think in this playthrough, you shouldn't betray Caladog. Took you under his wing, raised you like a daughter, and you're going to stab him in the back? But some of y'all got that psycho in you, don't you? You little sickos. Oh, come on, don't do the High King like that. He's got enough problem between all those Sturgians and Valandians and Empire. He's got enough shit on his plate. He don't need you backstabbing him. If you don't know this, one of the best things you can do to help Britannia is once you become a vassal, you come into policies, and then we're going to come down into noble retinues, and that's going to increase the size of all the tier 5 clans and above by 40. It's not a huge thing, but every little bit helps when you're getting it like Britannia gets it. So you just propose that policy and you pass it. I don't know why he would be against it. Now, the campaign ends as soon as you take Lageta. However, it can be fun to stick around for a little bit after you do it, because the AI really comes for it. I mean, I don't know what it is about this town, but you were going to get some Western Empire armies, some Valandian armies. I've had some Azerai armies, and I've had some Sturgian armies. Everybody's come for this thing. And I mean, they bring the kitchen sink sometimes. Something to remember, you can see right here, my food stocks are at 41. That's not good. And so if I come in here and I just wait until they come lock us all up and lay siege, then when I go to join the defense, I'm only going to have 3 days of food for my garrison. Here's a little trick for those of you who love those stronghold economic victories. Granary's full, my lord. Once you take the town, you go into the keep and you can open your stash and you store all the extra grain you got in there. And you got thousands and thousands of extra grain from raiding and taking out armies and parties, and you're not sure what to do with it. You could sell it, or you just throw it in your stash, and then when you need it, you can come in here and trade it to your town, and you can give them all that. And now when we join the defense, look here. Now I have 20 days of food. This tactic can kind of just delay the inevitable. There's a very good chance here that because I have this number and this amount of food, that the AI will actually just wait until I starve anyway. So unless you actually have enough food to outstarve them, which is why I say you need like 3,000 or 4,000, especially if you have a pretty good sized garrison, you're going to need a ton of grain to be able to outlast the army. In this case, I don't really need the garrison, so I probably would have just saved the food and let them attack. And then if the garrison starves, they just get wounded. And the second the siege is over and you sell food and you get food back in the town, they'll recover. Don't feel super stressed about saving the garrison. However, if an army of like 2,000 Sturgians comes, I saw that happen one time, that might be a good time to dip into the stash. And that's the whole playthrough. You got your fee and caps, no mercenaries, using forest bandits to fill in for their archers, and then we're just going to rock with Britannia. My only role when I really like to play Britannia is I form the lines and I'll use strategy and flanking and all that. But when I hit F1, F3, I don't ever reform. We just kind of commit to the battle. And I just like to kind of maul people with them, you know? Just rain arrows down. And you get in here and do the dirty work. I kind of just lay back and pelt them, right? And then you burn down that initial wave. And then when everybody advances on you, you hop on that broom and go wicked bitch of the West. Come in here and start serving up some Imperial eunuchs. Get them while they're on sale, motherfuckers. 2 for 1. After what they did to Paul, you sons of... Give me back my town. This was the army that was coming to stop me from sieging Lageta. So as soon as we're done here, the spirits of ancient tribes, long conquered, call from the trees to warn you what it will take to stop the Empire's insatiable lust for conquest. You must break them. Remember Lageta. Oklahoma out.